welcome to today's video. Martin and I are wearing the appropriate colors for today's guitar review. We're having a look at Martin's new baby.
This is my American Standard Telecaster, the limited edition from 2015 that I've bought in the US and brought with me when I visited Les in San Francisco and also was visiting the NAMM show.
A very cool thing about this guitar is that it is strictly limited. Yeah. It was a one-time run, limited run, and they made 125 of the crimson red one and 125 of the blue one. As a viewer, you might wonder, why the hell is Martin flying to the US to pick up a Tele? Because you can buy a Tele in Europe, right?
Yeah, there's a little backstory to this guitar. Not particularly this guitar, but this model. The best Telecaster I've played up until now, before I bought this one, was such a limited edition 2015 Sandblasted American Standard. And I liked everything on it. I liked the feel of the neck. The frets were perfect on that one.
On this one as well.
On this one as well. You can see that someone went over it an additional time with a fret end dressing file. Mm-hmm. They are extremely smooth, but later to that. So yeah, it played just like a dream. It did sound like I imagined the Telecaster what the Telecaster should sound like.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that time, that store I've played it, charged for it way too much for what it did cost at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
because it is a limited run.
It is a limited run, but everywhere else it was for about 1,000 euros, something like this.
Okay, well, prices gone up.
Yeah, and back then he wanted already 1,600, 1,700, something like this. So at least 500
quite a premium
more than somewhere else. And I've asked him, if he would do something with the price, and it was like 100 euros or so. So forget it. It's not worth mentioning. If you look what upcharge he had compared to what it cost everywhere else. And he also had a blue one.
Mm-hmm.
And that red one was a lot better than the blue one.
Okay, in terms of playability?
In terms of playability, setup, everything. Mm-hmm. It just played better, and yeah, also with it being much easier to play, I made it play better. It did sound better like this, obviously, then.
So you pretty much fell in love with the guitar back then, and that's when you started to look for this model.
Yeah,
again.
I couldn't afford it, and so I did not buy it yet.
Then it was sold out.
It was obviously I think 1 or 2 years later, I went there again to look for it, and the red one was gone. The blue one was still there. He still asked for the same price. And yeah, I thought, well, chance is gone.
Yeah.
And I think in December we were somewhat talking in our Skype group.
December 2022. So
December 2022, we were talking about what has gone away. What did we regret not buying something like this?
Yeah.
And at the same point, for some reason, it did show me the Harley Benton, Sandblasted, Cabronita style Telecaster shaped object they're having. And yeah, I thought, wow, this looks a lot like the guitar that is the one that got away, that I really wanted.
And you thought about buying that one and mod it.
Yeah, I thought about buying that one, mod it, and go with that Harley Benton Sandblasted one. And then I think you and Krenner said, or Charles, I think all of you said. All of you said
enablers.
Said, well, it's not the thing you remember. It's not what you think it will be, and you're better off looking for the real deal, that guitar that you really wanted. And speaking of the devil, I think 4 or 5 days later, it
was soon after it was on one showed up on Reverb
in the US. The seller was a store he did not ship to Europe, so I had to, and someone made an offer already, and I had to make a quick decision. I just bought it and sent it to Les. And
thanks, Les,
for taking it for that time. And we decided at some point that I'm gonna pick it up. So this is how I got to this guitar.
You're absolutely happy with it, right?
I'm absolutely happy with it. There's only one little thing that is not totally perfect with it for me. You see that body? I'm coming closer. It really is 3D textured. And you have the grooves from that finish. So let's start. How do they make this finish? So it's just what you see as black is the grain filler. So they do a regular Telecaster. Just use black grain filler, spray paint it red, and then sandblast it. And the softer grain of the ash gets removed then, and you get these grooves, and what you see underneath, what's revealed, is the grain filler, the black grain filler.
Yeah.
So this gives you a real 3D texture and cuts out parts of the wood. And this results in some edges over here where the grain goes over the edge. You have these grooves as well a little bit. So if you're playing without long sleeves and in this not classical position, you have it on your right leg. I have just a few notches over here that are pressing into my arm over here when I'm playing, and this is not that comfortable. It's not really bothering. You don't notice it when you're playing standing up. You're not noticing it when you're playing in a classical position, because then you're coming here flatter and you have a different angle. You don't get on these edges on the bottom end, but when you're having it here coming over like this from the backside, you feel it. That's the only thing I would say is a little bit annoying, but it's not annoying enough for me not to love this guitar. So it's
I mean, Teles in general are a bit square. They don't have comfort cuts, at least the ones with the classic body construction. They don't. This one doesn't even have a belly cut. In this regard, it's classical. But I'm sure you get used to it, or maybe it rounds over the more you play it. But it's understandable that it's not extremely comfortable, and it's a small minus point, but it still is.
Yeah, it's something you have to be aware when going for one of these guitars.
Finish like this. Maybe.
Finish like
spots.
this. That's you have a 3D texture, and at one point its 3D texture might not be the way you really want it to be. So let's go through the specs. Specs. Specs.
So the neck.
The tuners are the standard Fender tuners, non-locking. It's a synthetic bone nut, so plastic, but a higher quality plastic. The neck is a one-piece maple neck with a skunk stripe. You can adjust truss rod from the top, not
That's
like
great.
on my Baja from the bottom side.
Yep.
It's 9.5 inch radius fretboard. Two-way truss rod, by the way. Jumbo frets. It's a C profile neck, so that standard Fender C neck. They call it a satin urethane finish on the neck. I would say it's more semi-gloss than satin. When you compare it to what other companies sell you for satin. For example, your PRS over there, this feels completely different. This is what I consider satin.
And the maple neck as well. It's a CE, so this one is satin maple.
Yeah, this is what I consider satin. This is not gloss, but it's also not fully satin. But it's not sticky, and
I personally like it a lot because it feels very similar to the American Professional series, if you're familiar with that. So it's also the satin urethane. And I agree with you, it's like semi-gloss. It feels satiny, not sticky, glossy, but it's not completely satin feeling. So, but very nice neck, feels great. And I think 22 frets on this one. Yeah. So pretty modern spec-wise. It's not the vintage 50s Tele specs, not at all.
The only real vintage thing you could consider is the bridge.
With the 3 barrels.
With the 3 barrels, with the brass barrels,
they're
non-compensated.
Non-compensated, right.
So yeah, this is also something, maybe I'll change this for compensated ones and add Fender locking tuners. These are probably the upgrades I'll do at some point.
You can just pop them in, that's really convenient.
Yeah.
Direct replacement.
Speaking of upgrades, not stock, the previous owner added the Schuller strap locks. This strap was included with when I bought it, but that's not what it comes with originally. In addition to that, we have with the pickups, let's go on with the pickups. We have the standard Telecaster neck and bridge pickup,
American
tele pickups like you would find in any American standard from that era. Then you have over here the control plate. That one was modded. So you see the volume is up here, the tone is down here, and you have the 3-way switch on the bottom side. The routing inside is quite interesting. What you can see is that over here is some block routed deeper for the 3-way switch, and over here, so and in between it's a little higher, so it's not higher, it's not routed as deep. So,
but that's I assume, or we assume that's factory stock.
Yeah, it looks totally factory. You see the shielding paint inside
looks completely identical both sides. So that's really great if you want to flip your
if you want to flip the plates. This is not really an issue over here. The tone control on this guitar is a little bit special. It has the Greasebucket Circuit. As far as I know, this is not standard with the other standard Telecasters. Also back then, what it does is it's pretty much like some kind of treble bleed together with the tone control, which is a bit counterintuitive, but bear with me. If you reduce the tone, usually, you also increase a little bit of the volume with that wiring. So in this case, you also boost the bass just a little bit. And now you have a capacitor that also takes away just a little bit of this bass when you reduce it, so it's not that aggressive of a tone control. It's a little softer. And
do you like it this way?
I like it. I really like the way the tone control feels. It has a really good taper to it. For me, it's really good to adjust. And yeah, I wouldn't change it on this guitar. It really fits it well. And with that, the final things left are the pickguard. It's a 3-ply pickguard, black, white, black. The body itself is a string through, so yeah. There's that. You don't have an option to place the string through the bridge over here. And what's also interesting is the routing over here. There is a routing for a humbucker in the neck, so you could switch that one for a humbucker if you want. There's no additional routing inside of this guitar. If anyone wonders what we used for the recordings, for all the sound samples you've heard throughout, we'll put that one in the description. And yeah, finally I'm gonna send you off with just a little chord sequence, little lead tones, and I'm switching through all the settings in one setting of our rig that we've prepared over here. Yeah, and with that one, thanks a lot and see you in another video. Bye.
Bye bye.